the once mighty God King was nowhere to be seen, with only ruins left behind. It's then that Loki, looking a bit scared, says something to Thor that seems like it's just a joke, but actually it's hiding a bit of lore, hinting that in the Marvel universe, witches truly can see the future. This wasn't just something Loki made up. In fact, later in Endgame, when Thor travels back to the past and sees his mother, Frigga, she immediately recognizes that he's from the future, and that's because she's a witch. So, what seemed like a silly, random joke was actually a bit of foreshadowing that Marvel planted early on. It also explains why Frigga was able to see through her son's secret right away. Just as Loki is about to explain something, a magic circle suddenly appears beneath his feet. With a flash of golden sparks, he falls into a void, leaving Thor stunned. All that's left on the ground is a business card for an address on Bleecker Street. Fans will know that this is the address of Doctor Strange's sanctum, and if you look closely, you'll see the card didn't just appear out of nowhere. If you slow it down, you can see it actually float out of the portal. Soon enough, Thor follows the address on the card and meets the person behind it all, Doctor Strange. Wearing the Eye of Agamotto, Strange asks Thor why he would bring someone as dangerous as Loki to Earth, especially since Loki had invaded it before. Before Thor can even answer, his teacup magically refills itself with a full mug of beer, and it's a mug that never runs out. Thor explains he's here to find Odin. Once Doctor Strange realizes the two mean no harm, he agrees to help them find Odin. Doctor Strange finds out Odin's location is in Norway, and the scene right before they leave is really symbolic. He takes a strand of Thor's hair and uses it to draw a triangular rune, which is a symbol of Asgardian royalty. This also hints that the whole story is about to come full circle. Soon, through Doctor Strange's portal, they arrive in Norway and find Odin on a cliff overlooking the sea. Odin tells them that his time is coming to an end and that Ragnarok is coming. And the biggest threat of Ragnarok isn't the fire giant, but his first child, the goddess of death, Hela. He explains that once he's gone, the incredibly powerful Hela will be freed from her prison and unleashed. It was Hela who once conquered the 9 realms alongside Odin, but as time went on, Odin couldn't contain her ambition and her thirst for power from Asgard, so he had no choice but to imprison her. Now, Odin hopes the two of them can work together to stop Hela and protect their home. After he finishes speaking, Odin's body turns into golden dust in the sea breeze and fades away, just like Frigga did. But before Thor even has a chance to blame Loki, dark clouds swirl in the sky behind them. A black rift tears open and Hela's figure slowly emerges. Kneel. I'm sorry, kneel before your queen. I don't think so. That's not possible. Darling, you have no idea what's possible. Here, you can see that as she slowly emerges from the rift, her black battle suit isn't fully repaired yet. You can even see some obvious tears on her shoulders and arms. This suggests that when she first appeared, her power wasn't at its peak, but later on, the moment she sets foot on Asgard, her wounds heal instantly, and her suit also seems to repair itself, reforming into her iconic black armor. From this moment on, her crown of horns just keeps getting bigger and sharper as the story progresses. And this isn't just a change in her look, it's visually telling you that she's growing stronger. Also, right as Hela catches the hammer, you can actually see that the leather strap on the handle is floating horizontally. This shows that Thor was mentally trying to summon the hammer, and it was struggling to fly back to his hand, but Hela was forcibly holding it in midair. Seeing this, Loki immediately summons the Bifrost to take them back, but unexpectedly, this was exactly what Hela wanted. Hela follows them right into the portal. Inside the swirling torrent of energy, the three of them collide like meteors. Hela throws out a weapon and knocks Loki clean out of the stream. Then she grabs Thor by the throat, preparing to finish him off. Luckily, Thor struggles and breaks free, but unfortunately, he falls out of the Bifrost. Hela, on the other hand, emerges from the portal alone, landing steadily on the palace in Asgard, and with one strike, she takes out the guards nearby. Meanwhile, Thor is falling from the sky, landing in a massive junkyard full of spaceship wreckage. Before he can even catch his breath, a group of scavengers surrounds him. For the first time, the god of thunder is treated like scrap metal, thrown into a net and captured. But just at that moment, a ship flies over and a drunken woman steps out. This woman is Valkyrie, also known as Scrapper 142. She uses her ship's weapons to instantly take out the other scavengers. Then she presses a controller, and with a buzz of electricity, Thor gets stunned and is taken onto the ship. Valkyrie works for the Grandmaster, picking fighters for his arena, and Thor is her lead. It's called Sakaar, a planet on the edge of the known and unknown, and it's surrounded by wormholes. It's a place where all sorts of lost and unloved things from across the universe end up, and the Grandmaster is the one who created it all. He's also the father of the Contest of Champions. At the entrance to the arena, you can even see statues of past past, champions, and yup, that includes characters like the Hulk and Beta Ray Bill. This hints that Sakaar is hiding a lot more secrets. After learning all this, Valkyrie tells him that he'll be meeting the Grandmaster in 5 seconds. When the Grandmaster sees Thor, he seems to take a huge interest in him and decides to buy him from Valkyrie. He then decides to enter Thor into his contest of champions. Thor tries to break free, but he just gets zapped again. Now, a lot of people watching this might wonder, wait, isn't Thor the god of thunder? Why would an electric shock affect him? Well, the answer is actually in that little disc stuck to his neck. It's not just a regular taser, it's a high-tech controller called an obedience disc, and this thing can only be activated or removed with a special remote. Once it's on you, you can't just rip it off. When it's activated, it releases a powerful current that can instantly paralyze even someone as durable as an Asgardian. What's even more interesting is that in the comics, this device even works on cosmic-level characters like the Silver Surfer, and just then, he spots Loki just chilling and laughing on the sidelines. But their situations seem worlds apart. One is tied to a chair, while the other is casually chatting with the Grandmaster. Loki says he actually got here a few weeks ago, but says there's nothing he can do to help. If Thor wants to get out of here, he has to beat the Grandmaster's champion. After that, he's thrown into a holding cell. Of course, he's not the only one in there. He meets a rock guy named Korg and his buddy Meek. Korg tells him that the champion is incredibly tough. Apparently, no one who's ever fought him has survived. So Korg invites Thor to join the revolution he's planning so they can escape. Just then, Loki shows up to talk to Thor again. Thor immediately recognizes that this Loki is just an illusion. He tells Thor to stop thinking about going back to Asgard, saying they can't possibly beat Hela. He suggests that if they just play nice and serve the Grandmaster, they could one day take his place. But of course, Thor isn't about to just give up. He blames Loki for their father's death, and they part on bad terms. Meanwhile, back on Asgard, the other guards officially declare war on Hela, but they're no match for her, and she defeats all of them. The only one left is Scourge, who decides to switch sides. Hela then makes her way to Odin's treasure vault. She mocks everything in there, saying most of it is fake. The only thing she actually needs is the eternal flame. She then goes deep beneath the palace and unleashes the power of the flame to resurrect her ancient army and her giant wolf, Fenris. And as she's resurrecting them, you can see flames igniting at her feet and the same 3-part magical sigil appearing on the ground. This is the same kind of symbol Doctor Strange drew earlier, and that's no coincidence. It's the same type of ancient magic. The fight is about to begin. In the waiting room, Thor makes a surprising discovery about the woman who brought him here. It turns out she's an Asgardian Valkyrie who were once part of an elite force of female warriors sworn to protect the throne. Back in the day, Odin sent them. The Valkyries went up against Hela, but they were simply no match for her. Thanks to the protection of her friends, she became the only survivor. But for some reason, Valkyrie seems unwilling to even mention that she's from Asgard, and when Thor asks for her help, she just flat out refuses. Before the match, Thor is strapped to a chair and told that he's going to get a new haircut for a fresh start. The fight is about to begin. Thor, with his brand new short hair, steps into the arena, but the roar of the crowd isn't for him, it's for his opponent. The moment the Grandmaster announces who he's fighting, the heavy doors slowly begin to rise, and a familiar, giant green figure comes roaring out. Seeing that it's his old friend, the Hulk, Thor just lights up. He even starts to wave and call out to him. Thor thinks he can just convince Banner to come home, but the Hulk isn't having any of it. He roars and swings a giant hammer at him. Thor uses all his strength to block it. For the first time, without his hammer, he looks clumsy and is getting totally overwhelmed. Their fight is absolutely epic, and every blow feels like two massive forces colliding. Even then, Thor tries to reason with him to appeal to the Hulk's human side, but all he gets in response is a heavy punch. I'm not going to hurt you anymore. Nope. This fight is super fast-paced, but there's a really well-hidden detail in it. Right when Hulk swings his warhammer and it clashes with Thor's longsword, you can clearly see the impact of the blow directly bend the sword. This wasn't just some random special effect. It was meant to perfectly capture the power difference between the two characters. Even though Thor has awakened some of his thunder powers, when it comes to pure physical strength, the Hulk is still a monster he can't beat. Seeing that Hulk wasn't listening, Thor decided to take him down first and then try to talk to him a different way. Thanks for watching. Surrounded by lightning, Thor gets back up. This is his first true awakening. The god of thunder no longer needs a weapon. He's starting to understand the true nature of his power. Then he leaps into the air and knocks Hulk to the ground. Just as it looks like Hulk is about to lose the match, the Grandmaster on the sidelines quickly presses the remote. That obedience disc instantly zaps Thor, making him convulse and fall hard to the ground. In the end, Hulk wins the match. Then the scene cuts back to Asgard. Hela has taken complete control of the throne. She makes her new minion, Scourge, the Executioner, and orders him to hunt down all who resist, but Heimdall has already stolen the sword that controls the Bifrost and is hiding with the survivors underground. He's become the only beacon in the darkness. Seeing this, Hela orders everyone to be rounded up to ask them where the sword is. Meanwhile, an injured and unconscious Thor wakes up in Hulk's room. Hulk is acting all smug, like a giant baby who's king of his own turf. The two of them bicker like little kids, and during this, Thor learns that Hulk mysteriously traveled here in a Quinjet. Hearing this, Thor immediately asks Hulk where the jet is now. Looking at the Quinjet, Thor seems to have a new plan. Now, pay attention in this scene. In the distance, a small ship is flying towards the wormhole. Just as it passes through the sky, a protective barrier instantly destroys it. The ship is smashed to pieces on the spot. This makes Thor's upcoming escape plan seem even more insane and difficult. Afterwards, Thor, while Hulk isn't looking, tries to contact Heimdall. An orange light flashes, and Heimdall's voice echoes in his mind. He tells Thor that Asgard has fallen into darkness, and Hela is constantly drawing power from Asgard. Her strength is spreading. Hearing this, Thor, the two finally make up and understand each other. During their argument, Hulk casually grabs a round shield and throws it at the wall, leaving a deep dent. Now if you listen closely to the metallic ringing sound, you'll realize it's the exact same sound as when the Winter Soldier's fist hits Captain America's shield in the Winter Soldier. It has the same frequency, the same echo. It's even the same as the sound of Thor hitting Cap's shield with his hammer in the Avengers. Afterwards, with Hulk's help, he arranges a meeting with Valkyrie. Thor wants Valkyrie to help him go back. Right here, you can see that before this scene even starts, Thor has already slipped on a shin guard. He does this because he's already figured that even if Valkyrie says no, he'll have to jump out the window himself. This guard is the protection he prepared just in case he had to jump. But Valkyrie wants nothing to do with them anymore and turns Thor down. Expecting this, Thor steals the controller for her disc and just makes a run for it on his own. Jumping down, the camera focuses on his right leg, and the shin guard perfectly absorbs the impact. After jumping, Thor quickly makes it to the Quinjet, but the jet needs a voice command to unlock. Welcome. Voice activation required. Access denied. Access denied. He tries. Angel. Access denied. The strongest Avenger. Access denied. This whole gag actually comes from a nickname Tony gave Thor in the Avengers, and just as it starts up, Hulk follows Thor and smashes his way inside. Thor's worried this big guy is going to wreck the jet, so in a panic, he plays the video message that Black Widow left back then. After seeing it, Hulk finally changes back into Banner. At this point, Banner's memory is still stuck 2 years in the past, during the Battle of Sokovia. He's been the Hulk this whole time. Just as Banner turns on the jet's video log to figure out what happened, pay attention to the screen in this shot. For a split second, as the image flickers, Hulk's and Banner's faces briefly overlap, like two personalities are stuck in the middle, each one trying to take over. This isn't just an animation. In fact, before the scripts for the Avengers movies were even finalized, the Marvel team had already planned out the storyline for Professor Hulk, where Hulk's and Banner's consciousnesses would merge into one. So this scene was a little bit of foreshadowing they planted early on. By now, the Grandmaster has discovered that Hulk and Thor are missing. He orders Loki and Valkyrie to find them. After talking with Thor, Banner starts to calm down, but he's worried that if he turns into the Hulk again, he might stay the Hulk forever. Then, the two of them are quickly found by Valkyrie, but it seems she has no intention of turning them over to the Grandmaster. In fact, it's the opposite. She's tied up Loki and is ready to help Thor get back to Asgard. That's because she doesn't want to waste her life on Sakaar anymore. She wants to take up her weapon, defeat Hela, and get revenge for her fallen comrades. But because they're so far from Asgard, in order to get there quickly, they have to go through the biggest wormhole here. But the wormhole is so powerful that they'll need a top-of-the-line ship to get through. Seeing this, Loki, who's off to the side, eagerly offers to steal a ship from the Grandmaster, and with that, a revolution kicks off. First, Valkyrie blasts open the prison gates and deactivates all the devices used to control the prisoners. Then she finds Korg and gives him weapons. With that, the prisoners start a riot. When the Grandmaster finds out, he immediately sends tons of his forces to stop them. Seeing this, Thor and use a passcode. After taking care of the enemies over here, Thor suggests they pull off a get help routine, to distract the enemy. But Loki's not on board with the plan, saying he's a terrible actor. The two of them, they find a ship pretty quickly, but Loki doesn't think this escape is going to work, so he betrays Thor again. But Thor's fallen for this trick way too many times already. He's not buying it anymore. After giving Loki a piece of his mind, Thor takes off in the ship. The Grandmaster spots him almost immediately and sends his forces to chase him down. Valkyrie, in her fighter jet, provides cover from behind. Thor wants to join the fight too, but the problem is, this ship is one of the Grandmaster's sightseeing vessels, so it doesn't have any weapons. During the battle, Valkyrie's ship gets shot down. Luckily, she lands on Thor's ship, and then she just jumps right right back to take on the enemy ships by herself. Seeing this, Thor hands the controls to Banner and jumps out to help. What no one expected was, under all that heavy fire, Banner starts mashing random buttons and somehow, with the danger gone, they now have to fly through this wormhole. Meanwhile, Korg and his crew have made it to the hangar, planning to escape the planet on the biggest starship. They also find Loki on the ground. At the same time, Thor and the others have made it through the wormhole and arrived at Asgard. To keep everyone else safe, he decides to face Hela alone. He tells Valkyrie and Banner to evaluate the people. Just then, Hela threatens the citizens and finds Heimdall's hiding place, but surprisingly, Heimdall isn't there. At that very moment, Heimdall is leading the people to the Rainbow Bridge. Thor then sits on the throne. In the Great Hall, he takes Odin's staff, strikes the ground, and just as planned, summons Hela. She can't believe Thor is still alive. She immediately orders him to get off of her throne. With escape no longer an option, the two of them quickly start to fight, but Thor is simply no match for Hela. Even if he manages to land a lucky hit, she just heals instantly. On the other hand, Hela keeps conjuring weapons and seriously wounding Thor. In the end, Hela even takes out one of Thor's eyes, mocking him for looking just like the dead Odin. Meanwhile, Heimdall leads the citizens to the Rainbow Bridge to escape, but they're blocked by the giant wolf. Scourge also appears behind them with his army, trapping them in. That's when Valkyrie and Banner arrive, using their heavy firepower to hold the giant wolf back for a moment. But Valkyrie realizes the wolf is practically indestructible. The wolf shakes them off and charges straight for the crowd. Seeing how dire the situation is, Banner hesitates for a moment and then makes a decision. But the tide of the battle doesn't turn just because the Hulk showed up. Valkyrie's ship is even overrun by soldiers and crashes. Thor is still being completely overpowered by Hela, with no room to even fight back. Just as Heimdall can't hold on any longer and is about to fall, a savior, Loki, arrives with the ship and calls for everyone to board and get away, while he himself joins the fight along with Heimdall and the others. At this point, Thor, under Hela's relentless attack, has a vision of Odin. He tells him that Hela is just too powerful, and without his hammer, he can't possibly win. But Odin tells him that Asgard is not a place. It never was. This could be Asgard. Asgard is our people, where we began, and even right now, these people need your help. I'm not as strong as you. No, you're stronger. After saying this, Odin vanishes once again, and Thor, inspired by his words, successfully unleashes the power from within himself. In the deep darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. In the deep darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. Darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. In the darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. In the deep darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. In the deep darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. Darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. In the darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. Darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. In the darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. Darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. In the deep darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. In the deep darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. Darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. In the darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. In the deep darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. In the deep darkness, from the dead of night to the cool. Happy New Year. And this incredible soundtrack, its lyrics are actually a huge spoiler for the entire movie. There's one line that's super important. The lyrics, the imagery in them perfectly matches the ending of the film. In other words, this song, it's basically a prophecy for the story's structure, a note from the director using music to subtly connect the opening and the ending. And right as Thor is charging the enemy on the Rainbow Bridge, pay close attention to how he's fighting. He's actually holding the two swords in his hands backwards. The blades aren't facing forward. Instead, he's using the hilts to smash his enemies. This wasn't just some random choice in the choreography. This shot is actually meant to show that Thor, at this point, is so strong that he doesn't even need the sharp end of his weapons. He's relying on the lightning itself to take care of business. After taking out everyone else, only Hela is left. Thor knows he needs to buy some time for the people to evaluate. He understands that even with his newly awakened powers, he's still no match for Hela. So their goal isn't to stop Ragnarok from happening. Actually, it's the complete opposite. They have to awaken Surtur and trigger Ragnarok, because he knows the only thing that can handle Hela now is Surtur himself. They send Loki to the vault to find the fire giant's crown and have him bathe it in the eternal flame. Meanwhile, Thor and Valkyrie stay behind to keep Hela busy. After a bit of a fight, it's pretty obvious they're no match for her either. Hela easily counters every single one of their moves, and just as the ship is about to escape, Hela summons a massive weapon that strikes the ship. Her army of the dead uses this chance to board. Facing a crowd of defenseless people, Scourge, who's been on the sidelines, grabs his guns and rushes out. This whole fight scene with Scourge is actually a direct reference to his character in the comics. At the same time, Loki gets his hands on the crown, and while he's there, he also sees the Tesseract. After hesitating for just a moment, Loki throws the crown into the eternal flame. The ground starts to shake, and flames burst through the rock. The burning giant Surtur rises from the depths of Asgard. In that moment, the real Ragnarok has begun, and while Hela is still in shock, Thor summons a bolt of lightning and blasts her into the water. By now, the people of Asgard are safe safely away. But, of course, the Hulk just has to charge in. "I'm going to stop you." Valkyrie's ship gets Thor and Hulk back on board, and at this point, Asgard, under Surtur's attack, is starting to crumble. They know that only when Asgard is destroyed will Hela's power finally disappear. Hela is still throwing massive weapons at Surtur, but with one final plunge of his sword, Asgard slowly crumbles into nothing, and with it, Hela meets her end. Meanwhile, they take the last of their people and head out into space. The light from the explosion still burns in the sky. Asgard, a kingdom born from glory and destroyed by arrogance, has finally fallen. But Thor knows that as long as the people of Asgard are alive, then Asgard itself will rise again. And so, Thor becomes the king of Asgard. He decides to lead his people to Earth, and just as everyone is showing their respect to the new king, Loki walks past the Hulk. And here, there's a really subtle little detail. The Hulk's fist clenches just for a second. It's a blink and you miss it moment, but anyone who remembers knows what it means. In the Hulk's memory, Loki isn't an ally. He's the guy from the first Avengers movie who tore the whole city apart. Then, in the post-credits scene, a massive ship slowly appears before them, hinting that another nightmare is on its way. That, of course, is Thanos' ship. And at the same time, somewhere on Sakaar, he's surrounded by a crowd, still trying to talk his way out of this tough spot. And that's where the film, Thor Ragnarok, ends. On the surface, it's a comedy, but it's really a story about letting go. He lost his hammer, only to truly awaken, even as Asgard was destroyed. But it was reborn in the spirit of its people. Ragnarok was never the end of the world, but the old world making way